Have a good day to all those who just came up. Jimmy is with you as always, and I came to you with another selection of stories. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This is very important to me. Thank you for your support. Let's get started. First story today from the user, Milord Grint. Let's listen. So this is rather simple and messy. I, 24 female, am an affair baby. My father, 75 male, had me with my mother, 60 female, while still being married to someone else. Then divorced with his first wife when I was 4 and married my mum 2 years later. Because of the age gap and the general mess of the situation, I never truly had any relationships with my father's side of the family. For them, I was just an unexpected person to exist, which I am totally okay with, since I have a great loving family on my mother's side anyway. So since my birth, we have settled this lovely mutual agreement where they pretend I don't exist and I forget that my father is not an orphan. Lovely. The only person who decided to break this mutual indifference pact was my half-sister, 55 female. I probably also need to mention that my father was somewhat wealthy when he started dating my mother. He had already provided well for his eldest daughter, paid for her education, helped her to get a decent job in a law firm, and bought her a large apartment. So my sister was extremely unhappy with my birth, since for her, it meant that some of my dad's money will now flow the other direction. Not my petty words between, she said that to my mother. And not only that, according to my mother's words, confirmed by my father and grandparents, she had been harassing my mum throughout her entire, very complicated pregnancy, to the extent that my mother ended up in a hospital. My sister then found a way to call her even there, and wished she had a miscarriage. The last time when she and my mother met, she said I am worthless and don't deserve the honor of being called her sister, and she would rather give everything up to charity than let me inherit something from her. She was single and childless then, and still is now. As from my own memories, I have seen her probably only 3-4 times as a kid, and got a few presents from her as a teenager. Some her hideous old clothes she didn't want to wear anymore. She decided it would be hilarious to just send it to my mother in a garbage bag, so I donated it to charity upon her forgotten wishes. The funny thing is that even though my mother was accused of gold digging, my father had an accident and retired soon after their marriage. So she was the one who provided for me and gave me the future. Now I live in another country with my soon-to-be husband, studying and all in all doing okay. I was supposed to visit my family next week when my father unexpectedly called me. He never does that. Upon a very awkward conversation, I received this information. Even though agreeing to cut contacts, my father began talking with his eldest daughter a few years ago. He systematically updated her on my life. Since she learned I am doing okay and am soon to start my own family, she suddenly expressed desire to meet me. She has no family on her own, and that somehow made her value our sister bond more. I kindly rejected that offer and said I would rather not. Then followed 20 minutes of a pointless conversation with such arguments as, I am becoming older and want my children to reconcile. She was young and unwise. Now she regrets. When I reminded him that she basically harassed my mother and wished me dead, he called me out for being vengeful towards my sis and said he taught me better. I then said that I don't think I deserve the honor of meeting her and don't seek to earn that honor. And he hung up on me. I know my father is an old man who doesn't want any drama. However, my mother is the sweetest person alive, and a mere thought that someone in a right mind could harass her to the point she was at hospital makes me sick. I don't have any interest in this sister bonding BS, and I don't care what she has to say. So AITA for not even giving her a chance to speak with me? Author add the additional information. You are more supportive than I expected, guys, so thanks, guys. Just wanted to quickly address the infidelity part before going to sleep. I live in Europe, and it's past midnight. I noticed some people were concerned about my lack of judgment when it comes to my mum being a mistress and breaking up the family. I personally would rather not go into deep details about who, with whom, and why, since it is the info I am not comfortable sharing with all the Reddit. However, I would say the thing that is relevant to my post and my sis. My mum is not an angel, but she is not a homewrecker either because the home already didn't exist when she and my father met. He wasn't loyal before that, his family knew, I don't know their exact emotions on that, but he wasn't loyal for years before my mother, and he and his wife still lived together. Even when he met my mom, they knew about her and showed no animosity towards her, even the sis. They met a few times, and sis was indifferent. My mother getting pregnant was the reason the shit show started. That is the reason why, regardless of my mom's actions, I am so not okay with the harassing part from sis. She wanted abortion, so dad would not waste his money on another child, then wanted me dead. As for the no contact request from mom part, I mentioned in comments, guys, if you read please what I write. My mother said, "Don't let her come near me or my baby," after almost losing her unborn child due to endless harassment. My so-called sister wished me dead. Multiple times. She stopped only when my father agreed to leave all his savings to his old family. I know that because other people around me shared that info when I became older. Not only my mother. She doesn't talk about any of my father's relatives at all if she is not asked to. Author update this story. Hey guys, just came home and looked through your answers. Jesus, I did not expect that many, and oh boy, some are very interesting. I actually have a tiny update. But first, let me answer some of you guys. At first, those who addressed the issue I was asking about, me and my sis, being total strangers with her, resenting me, even before my birth and suddenly wanting to meet. Thank you for your feedback. You are the most appreciated of all. I'm not that good at dealing with someone trying to do the speed run to my personal space. So I really wanted to know if I'm overreacting. Sometimes it's hard to judge, especially because I don't actually know sis apart from her being a huge fan of my being born. As far as I know, not the most pleasant person to be around, but have no desire to test this personally. As for my mother's infidelity, many people were not happy with the sweetest person part, and even less with my further explaining, which I find absolutely understandable. Many of you were polite and respectful in your argumentation, so thank you for that. Actually, upon reading my own answers the next day without context, I can see why so many people were confident that I am trying to do black and white here. I don't actually think it is necessary to have a huge discussion, since it is not the main point of my post anyway. But for those who were respectful to me, I wanted to make my only and last point here. My position on that matter is not that cheating is totally okay, since it is my mum who did the nasty and/or she wasn't the first mistress to my father. Can get a little defensive on that, I know. But don't blame me, blame the flashbacks from my childhood when I constantly heard all the things you wrote from my father's friends XD. Sorry, kidding, but not really. My position is that I have decided to refrain from judging my mother on that. In other words, not approving like a, my pops is a cheater anyway, so it is totally okay to sleep with him then. It is rather, I don't think it is my place to shame my mother. She made a decision and faced the consequences. I leave that to her, and I won't let this impact our relationship. That's it. You may not agree with my point of view, and it's fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And I'm entitled to my own perspective also, and the perspective is I saw only kindness and love from her. This is my way of showing love and kindness back. Please be respectful for those who actually insulted my mother or me by calling names and wishing me being cheated on to get the feeling. I hope people you love never make any mistakes. Oh boy, you would let them know they are not worthy of anything anymore. Now, to the actual update. Actually, not that much to update about. My father had a brilliant idea of asking my mother to persuade me. And now it is a huge show. My mother crying on Skype and asking me if meeting my sister is something I truly want. Me explaining that I don't give a flying F about her. My father screaming on my mother that it is her upbringing fun. Oh, he also said he had given her my number so we could settle things as adults. So now I am even more irritated. Due to some issues with my residence renewal, I often have to pick up from unknown numbers. Have to give attention to the country code before picking from now on. The first Skype call was a disaster. Then when my father went outside to smoke, my mum called me again and I asked her about no contact thing. Mum explained that she was indeed against my sister being anywhere near me because she was scared of her hating me so much and couldn't trust her. However, She said she never actually forbade my father talking to her. She just wanted it to be away from our house and our lives, and that he tried for some time, when I was a kid, to see her occasionally, but then the car accident happened, and Sis never ever called him or visited him in the hospital. This made him so frustrated that he went full no-contact mode himself. I then asked her, does she have any idea of what Sis could possibly want from me, but she had no clue. So that's what it is now. If some drama happens, I will update, but I probably would not go to a every single new thing is the new post mode. I have a life to live and a wedding to plan. Just maybe we'll give some closure in case there would be one. Thanks for wasting your time reading this and have a nice life. What I think about this story. There was a tiny mention in the original post of her writing OP out of her will. Not that OP expected to be included in her will. I'd follow that path with speculation. She's contemplating her own future. She was trying to dangle her estate as a carrot in front of OP, but made sure to declare her decision to snatch it away when OP wasn't interested in meeting her. Her family of origin is elderly dying, and she has no children. She will soon be alone in the world, and perhaps has run the maths to find out her savings, plus expected inheritances won't afford her elder care. She's looking for someone to take care of her for free when she gets old. Bottom line, whatever would be left in her estate wouldn't be worth dealing with her mercurial personality, barely concealed hostility, and Scorpion's tail poised to strike at any moment. OP was right to refuse. Let's check the author answers and users' comments. NTA sounds like she wants to reach out for selfish reasons and wants you to just roll over and pretend she hasn't hated you your entire life. Even though her anger is misdirected, you seem to understand why people might scapegoat you as the living embodiment of the death of their family. But harassing someone into the hospital and then finding a way to continue that in the hospital is a bridge too far. I'm not a strong math guy, but if you're 24 and she's 55, then she was 31 when she did this to your mother. She wasn't some middle schooler, she was an adult over 30. Young and unwise indeed. Indeed, the young and unwise part cracked me up as well. Yep, she is not much younger than my mother. They even share the same name, and I think it may be one of the many reasons why Mum decided to keep her own surname, LOL. In TA, she gets to have feelings about her dad cheating on her mom. If it had been me, I would have raised hell. But she crossed the line when she actively took it out on a pregnant woman and became vengeful towards you. Your dad was in the wrong forever, agreeing to cut himself off from his child for the sake of someone else. Let's be clear about that. You and your mom never ever needed to have contact with her, but he is still her parent. It was on him to create healthy boundaries for everyone in this situation, and he failed. To be honest, I wouldn't care if he talks with her or not if it wasn't for my mum. She insisted on cutting her off after my birth, or to be precise, make sure I never see her around me or my daughter because I will call the police. The boundaries is something my dad was never strong in. He tends to avoid conflicts at all costs. He is constantly trying to force people to be okay with each other and be forgiving. So if my mother wouldn't do this us of them fit, I am 100% sure he would constantly try to make Sis and my mother reconcile, invite her to dinners in our home. This inability to leave things as it is was the reason my mother was harassed in the first place. I love him, but man can't understand why his daughter wouldn't be besties with his mistress and got it. Only after she called Mum at the hospital. NTA. And there could be a less entitled reason why your half-sister is now wishing to make contact. I come from a short-lived family. No particular reason, just all my recent relatives died before they were 75. Most fatal illnesses only occurred shortly before they died of them. Cancer, strokes, heart attack, brain aneurysm. There was no reason to expect them to die that year. No long period of suffering. They became ill, got diagnosed, and died. The father is 77 and disabled following a car accident. She is unmarried and has no children. She was the only child of her parents, and there is no mention of any other half-siblings. Her mother is now old, if she is 55 and her dad is 77. I suspect her mother is mid-70s. And she knows the likelihood of her having no family in a few short years is high. The only family she will soon have is the half-sister that she rejected and wanted dead 24 years ago. Her father also appreciates the fact that his eldest daughter will soon be all alone. That will be upsetting him, and I think he thinks that if he can get his two daughters to meet, then at least the eldest won't be totally without support once he and his ex have died. Thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I hope you liked this story. But do not forget that the second part is still waiting for us today. I will be waiting for you there. Good luck to everyone. See you again.